Hi guys, welcome to Elmaki Motors and to another video. Today we're heading over to the land of ice, gravel and snow and tarmac. It's the WRC and I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for who will be the WRC champion in 2021. Now, I know we've already had Monte Carlo. I know that's a little bit cheating because I've seen, the relative performance of the drivers, but it's still pretty early on in the year. And we've got a completely different calendar this year. We had a 6-month gap last year between Mexico and Estonia, and we ended up finishing with Rally Monza. This year we've got the return of the Safari Rally. We've got Rally Japan. There's no Wales Rally GP, so things are going to be looking a bit different. So unlike Formula One, we've got 12 drivers competing full-time or part-time in the WRC. So obviously the part-time drivers aren't going to get as many points. And that'll be reflected in my list here. So without further ado, let's count down from 12 to 1 for my predicted finishing positions in the 2021 World Rally Championship. So P12, I'm going to put M Sport Ford's newest junior driver, Adrian Fourmeau and Renaud Jamoul. The sole reason for this is that these guys are going to be competing in WRC2 Pro in certain rounds and WRC sort of main in the other rounds. They're going to be sharing the car with Teemu Sutherland. Now obviously Teemu has a lot more experience and any clashes obviously will go to Teemu. So I'm thinking Adrian won't get as much time in the car, and that will obviously mean he'll get less points. But he had very good strong WRC2 results last year. He got 3 second places out of 6 events and finished 3rd overall. Is he one to watch the future? Definitely. So moving on down to P11, I've got Pierre-Louis Loubet and Vincent Londet. They're going to be in the Hyundai 2C competition. So this is sort of Hyundai's little junior outfit. They've just got one car, but this is a fantastic opportunity for Pierre-Louis Loubet because he gets experience in a full-time works drive without any pressure at all. And this is a great learning year. Some drivers, Lappi, Callum Rovanpera, they didn't have as much time. They've come straight up from WRC2 Pro into a full-time works driver they'd be expected to deliver. Pierre-Louis Loubet, he's got this year, he's got a learning year. He did well to score 7th place at Monza at the end of last year, so hopefully he can keep it up and pick up a few more points. But this year is mainly about learning. So moving on to 10th place, and I've put the newest Asian driver on the block, Takamoto Katsuta, and his co-driver Dan Barrett. So these guys, it's a big hope for Toyota, and we expect great things from him in the years to come. But I think again, as with Pierre-Louis Loubet, although it's a full-time drive, he will just be wanting to learn the rallies, learn the stages, learn the conditions, learn working with the gravel crew. Rallying is still the WRC at least is a very European centred thing. It is, there's a lot for him to learn. He might be out of his comfort zone at the moment, but he got 6th place at Monte Carlo, which is a fantastic result. I'm sure he'll learn quickly, and again, I expect great things from him in the future. Moving on to 9th place, and I'm putting Gus Greensmith and Elliot Edmonds. So these guys are doing a full-time drive in the M Sport Ford. So it's a big break this year for Gus Greensmith. He's got the opportunity to go to all these different rallies, all these different surfaces. He's not got any drivers' championship competition from within M Sport because the other car is split. So yeah, he can impress, and he can justify M Sport taking him on for further years. And he'll want to improve on his 11th place championship finish last year. He said at Monte Carlo that was one of his worst results. And remember last year he had that very slow, embarrassing slide. Do I think he'll be challenging for podiums? I don't think so. But I hope he improves across the course of the season to justify another drive. It's always great to have another British driver there. So moving down to 8th place, I'm putting Teemu Sutherland and Marco Barkala, who are sharing the car, as I mentioned, with Adrian Fourmeau for M Sport. Now, Teemu Sutherland, despite doing this part-time role, is pretty much the team leader here. He's got something like 4 years experience. And as Adrian is doing WRC2 Pro, Timo will be getting a drive at probably most of the events. And he is a very consistent finisher. Yes, he had that embarrassing crash this year at Monte Carlo. But if you remember in 2019 when he was put side by side with Evans in M Sport, it really did not do him any bad favours. He did a really good job. Was consistent, and yeah, he's still young. He's got a lot of time to improve. He just needs a bit of luck to get that breakthrough win, but I'm still expecting a good year from him. Moving on, in 7th place, I'm putting Craig Breen and Paul Nagel. And Craig Breen's been around the block for a long time. He's one of Rally's nice guys. He's had a few tough breaks in his career. But he's still young enough to deserve a full-time seat. He was unlucky at Citroën. We had Chris Meek there who got a few wins. Breen didn't manage that. He's still chasing his first win. But you can't help thinking, we were in Rally's dark days 10 years ago when we just had Ford and Citroën. He would be one of the top drivers there. He would have been getting a full-time seat with one of the privateer teams probably. But for this year, he's got to make do with sharing the car with Danny Sordo, taking the gravel rounds, which are his strength. He would have been frustrated that Sweden was cancelled, but now he has got the Arctic Lapland Rally and Rally Finland and potentially Rally Estonia, which will all suit him. So yeah, he'll be hoping for a break this year. And hoping to get that first win on the board. In 6th place, I've put Danny Sordo and Borja Rosada, which is his new co-driver for this year. Excuse my terrible Spanish pronunciation. Now, Sordo has really impressed me in the last 2 years. Colin Clark posted a picture on Twitter of, I think it was some photographs from him interviewing drivers as he used to do at the end of the stage, and I think it was from 2006. And the only driver still here is Danny Sordo. He's been around the block, he's been teammates with Loeb. Now he's doing more of a bit part role, but he's still performing. He's still justifying Hyundai keeping him as a works driver. He's probably the last true sort of surface specialist we've got in the WRC. But that if you put him on tarmac, he's gonna perform. He's won Rally Italia Sardinia in the last 2 years. Before that, it was a long time since his last win. And otherwise, he's just picking up loads of points. This year Monte Carlo, he was 5th, I think. So even if he's not winning, he's still picking up the points, and that's just what Hyundai want for a part-time driver. You won't bet against him getting another win this year, so that's why I'm putting him in P6. P5, I'm putting Rallying's Max Verstappen as Kalle Rovanperä and Jonna Halttunen. So yeah, as I say, people are comparing him to Max Verstappen. He was put into this full-time drive very early, but he's showing he's very mature, and in some ways that's even better than what Verstappen showed in his early years. If you remember 2018, he had a string of crashes and DNFs. We haven't seen that from Rovanperä, and fingers crossed we won't. I think he knows he has a lot to learn still, but he has got 2 fantastic guys in the Toyota Gazoo Racing stable in Elfyn Evans and Sebastian Ogier to help him. So he's not going to be challenging for the championship, but he's got a full-time drive, and you would expect by Finland, he might be on for a win. We all remember how Esa-Pekka Lappi managed that in 2017. Moving on to what I would consider the big 4 here. These are the guys with lots of experience, winning capabilities, and full-time drives. So in P4, I'm putting Thierry Neuville and Martin Wiedeger in the Hyundai Motorsport team. So Thierry Neuville, it really pains me to say this, but he's risking becoming another Mikko Hirvonen. Mikko Hirvonen, fantastic driver, but he was unlucky and he missed out on the championship 4 times. And Neuville's come second 3 or 4 times, and he's clearly got the pace. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart driver. But he's been let down by the reliability of the Hyundai a couple of times, and a few mistakes, a couple of years ago. Now, until last year, he had the advantage that the team was built around him, but now Hyundai is no longer his team. He's not just focused around him. He had the measure of Andreas Mikkelsen back in 2016, 2017, but Ott Tanak is a different beast. And as was the main talking point at Rally Monte Carlo, he has a new co-driver. Now, I'm sure Martin Wiedeker is going to do a fantastic job, but these things take time to gel, and that might put him at a slight disadvantage going to the rest of the year. So that's why I'm putting him in P4. Moving on to the top 3, in his third place, I'm putting Ott Tanak and Martin Järveoja. So Ott Tanak was unlucky last year. It was his first year in Hyundai. Was it too much to expect him to win the title coming into Thierry Neuville's team? Maybe it was, but this guy took the fight to Sebastian Ogier the year before. He'd been the first non-Seb to win it since Per Solberg in 2003. He pulled off what people thought was impossible, and this year he has more experience than the team. He knows what to expect. He's probably more familiar with his engineers and that sort of thing, so we should be expecting a stronger performance. Unfortunately, it does seem like Toyota remains the faster car and perhaps the more reliable one, which is going to count against him. And most significantly, at Monte Carlo, he picked up a suspended one-event ban for driving an unroadworthy car. Now, it hasn't affected him, obviously, because it's suspended, which means that he doesn't have to serve it unless he gets a repeat offence, but he will have that in the back of his mind, and maybe that's something that will compromise throughout the year if he doesn't want to run, if he wants to carry an extra spare tyre so he doesn't get in the situation again, because as we've seen the last few years, the title comes down to the wire nowadays, and if you're missing one event, that's a huge swing. So that's why I'm putting Ott Tanak in third. Moving on to second, I'm putting the dominant force, Seb Ogier and Julian Gracia for Toyota Gazoo Racing. Now, we saw at Monte Carlo, Seb put in a fantastic performance, a dominant performance. So he's won it for Citroën, he's won it for Hyundai, he's won it for Citroën, he's won it for Volkswagen, he's won it for M Sport, and now he's won it for Toyota. So, that is an incredible feat to win Monte Carlo, one of the toughest rides in the world, for 4 different teams. He's a bit like Hamilton in Formula 1. You've seen there might be faster drivers on their day, but Hamilton is just there all the time. He's picking up the points, doesn't make mistakes, and they're just adding up throughout the season. And when it comes down to it, the final round, who's in the lead? Who's the champion? Is Sebastian Ogier. So, yeah, as I say, I've put him second here, but it would be stupid to rule him out for the championship. The only thing I think that counts against him is that he has said it is his last year. And, maybe he's not giving 101% on the stage just because, the finish line's so close. Doesn't want anything stupid to happen now when he's looking ahead to his retirement next year. So I think the momentum is with another driver this year, and that is my number 1 pick, Elfyn Evans and Dan Barrett. So Elfyn Evans has grown massively in the last few years. So I remember he was demoted by Malcolm Wilson in 2016. He went back down to WRC 2 for a year. 2017 he was in the DMAC car. He was one dodgy bridge turn away from winning Rally Argentina, and then he took that spectacular win at GB where people were thinking, was it down to the tyres, which I think was very unfair to him, but he still hadn't had his big breakthrough yet. And then in 2019 he got put with Team Sunderland in M Sport. M Sport were struggling after Ogier left, and I think Sunderland showed that he wasn't to be messed with. He's a very consistent finisher, but Toyota saw something in Elfyn Evans. They signed him for 2020, and boy did he get straight onto it. He was consistent, and he got to grips with the car straight away, and he was up there with Ogier throughout the year, which I think is a great credit to the guy because he's got so much less experience. So yeah, I'm putting him as a bet for the title here. I can see a few similarities to the late great Colin McRae. Now, people will say Chris Meek is closer. He had the raw speed, but Evans looks on target to replicate Colin's success. Colin had a few years you know, with Subaru, with the legacy, with the Impreza, and then, you know, he beat Carlos Sainz, who was a 2-time champion at that point, in a straight fight in 1995. So, you know, I think Elfyn Evans, again, on his day, he's as good as anyone. And, you know, I can't see a problem with him taking on Seb Ogier and beating him. He's got the momentum on his side. You know, he's got nothing to lose. He had his moment at Monza last year, just as, remember, McRae did in 2001 when he was fighting Richard Burns. But yeah, when Evans seems on it, he's unbeatable. And, you know, I wouldn't bet against us getting a new champion this year in the form of Elfyn Evans and Dan Barrett. So guys, that's my predictions for the 2021 Worldwide Championship. I think we're going to see a new champion. I think it'll be fantastic and something new as we look forward to the 2022 regulations. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think that's a stupid prediction. Let me know if you think Thierry Neuville is going to win, Ott Tanak's going to win. Hit me up in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is El Maki Motors, and I'll see you in the next video.